This is the Maison Dieu in Ospringe, a village near Faversham in Kent. For much of the early part of its history, up until 1483, it served as a hospital, although hospital didn't mean exactly what it does today. In fact, it was a religious building, staffed by monks and martial knights, and was used as a stopping off point for travellers on the road between London and Dover, a medieval motel. The modern A2 road runs right past the building, but this is no coincidence. The same street has been a major thoroughfare for more than 2,000 years. On this spot you could have stood and watched Roman legionaries marching from Londinium to the coast. Following the death in 1170 and subsequent canonisation of Thomas Becket, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, the number of pilgrims visiting Canterbury Cathedral swelled greatly. And this same spot was on the route between London and Canterbury, so it would have been a useful place to rest for the pilgrims. The original structure was mainly on the north side of the road, although none of that survives today. What survives on the southern side are a pair of undercrofts, and the building constructed over one of them is the Maison Dieu Museum. The property was founded by Henry III in 1234, although it's possible he simply caused the site to be reused, as there was probably already an existing Templar hospital here on the site. Because of this, there's likely there was some friction between the Crown and the Pope over who actually owned the hospital here. Although in practice, the Templars probably continued to use the hospital even after the new foundation was established. One thing Henry certainly did add was a luxurious royal apartment known as the Camera Regis, or the King's Chamber. As the road to Dover was the main route to the continent, we know that a succession of kings, from Henry to Richard II, were frequent visitors here, representing over 150 years of English monarchs. After years of declining use, the hospital was eventually closed in 1516, and the lands and associated property were used to found St John's College, Cambridge. As with many old buildings, there are many parts of this building that date from different periods. Much of the ground floor and the entire first floor date to the 16th century, although if you move towards the centre of the building, there are parts that are much older. This hall dates to the 15th century, and much of the visible fittings are later additions, including this fireplace. The stunning moulded ceiling dates to the late 16th century, and much of it is still intact. This is the undercroft, just off the hall. It dates to around 1295. It was originally used as a storeroom, as it stays cool and dark down here, and it's the oldest remaining part of the building. Upstairs are two rooms that form part of the original 16th century building here. They now house the majority of the museum's collection. The western room also has a remarkable king post ceiling. collection was excavated from around the Maison Dieu. Much of it's Roman pottery, but the real jewel of the collection is the bust of the goddess Minerva. Finds from these excavations are among the best Roman artefacts recovered in Britain, and most of them were originally of British manufacture, though some are trade goods from the continent or personal items brought to Britain by visitors. The collection is so impressive that not all of it can be housed here. Some is in Dover and some in the British Museum. stone chapel is the remains of a church that survived up until the 16th century. It's just half a mile down the road from the Maison Dieu, and when the hospital was flourishing, it was a busy church. The structure is still fascinating, part Roman, part Saxon and part medieval. When it was originally constructed, it was used as a pagan shrine and was later adapted for Christian purpose.